San Diego, California. 10:15 a.m., Friday. I should have known something was wrong when the dispatcher hesitated. Echo 2, you're clear for takeoff. Coastal tour, right? Came the voice over the radio, but there was an edge to it, like he was distracted, maybe watching something on a screen. Affirmative, dispatch, I responded, keeping my tone light. Taking 4 passengers for the 1-hour loop over the bay and downtown. We'll be back before noon. I pulled back on the cyclic, feeling the familiar lift as the helicopter, a Bell 407, rose smoothly from the helipad. Below, the marina shimmered in the morning sun, boats bobbing in their slips. A perfect day for a tour. 15 minutes into the flight, everything started going sideways. At first, it was just smoke. Pillars of it rising from multiple locations in the city, nothing unusual in a place where wildfires and car crashes were part of life. But then I saw the crowds. Not just tourists at the Gaslamp Quarter or the usual beachgoers. This was different. Masses of people spilling into the streets, moving erratically. The police presence was heavy, more than I'd ever seen downtown outside of Comic-Con or a protest. Patrol cars blocked intersections, sirens wailed, and I caught flashes of people fighting, or worse. I radioed the dispatcher. Tower, this is Echo 2. What's going on downtown? It looks like a riot. A pause. Then static. Echo 2, hold your course. We're getting reports. Unconfirmed. Just finish your flight plan. Something was off. Dispatch never got rattled, and I'd heard real panic in his voice. 20 minutes later, the city was on fire. I tried to keep my passengers calm, but one of them, a guy in a Hawaiian shirt, was already filming with his phone, muttering "holy shit" under his breath. The woman next to him gasped as we passed over a freeway where cars had piled up into a multi-vehicle wreck, and people, some injured, some screaming, were running from something I couldn't see. The radio crackled again, but now it was mostly static. I caught only bits and pieces. Containment failed. Advise all units. Bitten, for God's sake, don't let them. And then nothing. I tried again. Dispatch, this is Echo 2. You're breaking up. What the hell is going on? Silence. I banked the helicopter toward the coastline, but I already knew we were on our own. Years of combat deployments had drilled a single lesson into me. When the world starts going to hell, assess, adapt, and act. My first instinct wasn't panic. It was survival. I glanced at the fuel gauge, full tank. I topped off before the flight, which meant I had range. Bell 407s had about 3 hours of flight time under ideal conditions, and I intended to make every damn minute count. San Diego Tower, this is Echo 2. Requesting emergency priority. What the hell is going on down there? Static. I switched to the emergency frequency. Mayday, Mayday. This is Echo 2, civilian helicopter. I need immediate advisories on airspace conditions. Over. A burst of distorted voices came through, layered with panic. Repeat. Do not land at Lindbergh Field. Breaking quarantine. God, they're everywhere. Then gunfire. Screams. Silence. I swallowed hard. What in the name of hell was happening? Looking down, I saw chaos unraveling like a battlefield in real time. Downtown was turning into a war zone. Cars burned along Market Street. Panicked civilians ran through the roads, chased by something. Too many people were moving wrong, stumbling, jerking, and lunging at others. Then I saw it, a police officer overwhelmed by a group, dragged to the ground. His limbs flailed for a moment before he stopped moving. Blood pooled beneath him. And then, impossibly, he twitched, not from pain, not from life. His body convulsed unnaturally, and the moment his head lifted, I knew. This wasn't a riot. This was something else. The woman in the back screamed. Oh my God. What the hell is happening? I gritted my teeth. Stay calm. Stay in control. I needed a plan. Fast. 1. Radio for intel. Already did. No clear response. 2. Secure the aircraft. Full tank. No damage. Instruments clean. 3. Determine an escape route. The city was a death trap. 4. Find a safe LZ. Where the hell could I land that wasn't swarmed? I made my decision. The coastline. Hang on. I called back to the passengers. We're getting out of here. I pulled the cyclic and banked west, heading toward the open Pacific. The city blurred past below, a spiraling nightmare of traffic collisions, people fleeing on foot, and bodies strewn like discarded debris. As I cleared the shoreline, something else caught my eye: military helicopters, Black Hawks and Chinooks, flying low toward Coronado. I switched channels. This is Echo 2, former U.S. Army, requesting contact with any military forces on this frequency. What is happening on the ground? A pause. Then a voice, strained but clear. Echo 2, this is Naval Air Station, North Island. If you can hear this, do not return to the city. I repeat, do not return. The infection is spreading faster than we can contain. Quarantine protocols are failing. Infection? I gripped the stick tighter. What kind of infection? Who's in command over there? Unknown, static. We're being overrun. This is a full biological event. Then gunfire. Shouting. The radio cut out again. Shit. My instincts screamed at me. This wasn't just an outbreak. This was collapse. A new plan formed in my mind. I needed a safe zone. A fallback point. I scanned the horizon. NAS North Island? No. If they were compromised, landing there was suicide. Los Angeles? Too far. And if San Diego was going down, LA wouldn't be far behind. Offshore? Possible. There were small islands off the coast. Catalina? Maybe. Then I thought about my old Army contacts. Camp Pendleton. The Marine Corps base had supplies, weapons, and trained personnel. If any place could hold out, it was there. I set my course north. I didn't know what kind of war had started below me, but I sure as hell wasn't about to fight it unarmed. First mission, survive. Second mission, find out who's still standing. Third mission, get the hell out before the whole world burns. And God help us all. I kept my approach low, eyes scanning the terrain as we neared my hangar. Nestled in a rural patch east of the city, it had been my sanctuary for years. Out here, I had space, privacy, and everything I needed to maintain both my helicopter and my skills. The place was quiet, too quiet. I circled once, ensuring the perimeter was clear. No signs of movement. No broken fences or busted doors. No vehicles that shouldn't be there. I keyed the mic, speaking over the roar of the rotors. All right, listen up. We're stopping for fuel and supplies. I don't know what's happening, but I'm not flying into this blind. You stay near the chopper. Do not wander off. This won't take long. The passengers, shell-shocked and pale, nodded numbly. They weren't used to taking orders, but right now, I was their only shot at making it through the day. I touched down smoothly, dust kicking up around us. As soon as the skids hit the ground, I secured the collective and unstrapped myself. Stay put, I told them, then hopped out. I moved fast, connecting the fuel line to the helicopter's intake. The pump hummed to life, topping off my tank and filling the spare canisters I had stacked nearby. No way in hell was I taking off without extra fuel. I didn't trust where the next safe landing might be. With the fuel flowing, I headed straight for my equipment cache inside the hangar. I unlatched the reinforced locker and pulled out exactly what I needed. AR-15, suppressed. Reliable, accurate, and familiar. Glock 19. Battle-tested. Always close. A level 4 body armor. Lightweight, but capable of stopping rifle rounds. Helmet with integrated NVG. If the grid went down, I needed to own the night. Plenty of mags, extra ammo, tactical belt. No such thing as too many rounds. Medical kit, rations, extra comms gear. I wasn't just packing for today, I was preparing for the long haul. I geared up fast, slipping into the vest and securing my sidearm. Just as I was loading mags into my chest rig, my phone rang. I froze. Cell service had been dead when I tried calling out. Who the hell was getting through now? I pulled it out, glancing at the caller ID. Staff Sergeant Eric Nolan. One of the few people I trusted, still active duty, last stationed at Camp Pendleton. I answered immediately. Eric. Jesus, tell me you've got answers. His voice came through, ragged and urgent. Where the hell are you, man? My hangar, refueling. I tried reaching you. What the hell is going on? Silence. A long pause. Then, listen to me. You need to get out of there. Now. A chill crawled up my spine. What are you talking about? It's not just the city. This thing, this infection, it's everywhere. We tried setting up quarantine zones. They collapsed in hours. Everything is falling apart. I gripped the phone tighter. Where's command? Who's coordinating the response? You don't get it, man. There is no coordinated response. The chain of command is broken. We're cut off. Some units are holding, but it's every man for himself now. I barely got out of my last position alive. I clenched my jaw. Where are you now? Pendleton's a mess. I'm moving inland. There's a fallback point north. Military and civilian personnel gathering. You need to move. You can't stay there. I glanced outside. The fuel pump ticked closer to full. The passengers still huddled near the chopper. They had no idea how bad this really was. I took a breath. Give me coordinates. I'll meet you there. Eric hesitated. You sure about that? If you've got a ride, you might be better off just flying the hell out of here. I looked at the supplies I'd just strapped on, the weapons hanging at my sides. Not leaving without answers. I'll meet you at the fallback. A sharp breath from his side of the line. Then, all right. Sending you the grid now. My phone buzzed. A GPS marker appeared on the screen, a remote location deep in the mountains north of LA. I exhaled. Got it. I'm en route. Then he added something that made my blood run cold. And man, don't trust anyone who's been bitten. No matter what they tell you. Click. The call ended. The hangar suddenly felt too quiet. Too empty. Like something was already closing in. I grabbed the last of my gear and sprinted for the chopper. Time was up. It was time to leave. Just as I was about to start the engine, my phone rang again. I nearly ignored it. Calls had been dead silent minutes ago. Now they were coming in one after another. Something about that sent a bad feeling crawling up my spine. I glanced at the screen. Caller ID, Sergeant Ray Dawson. San Diego SWAT. A friend. Someone I trained with. I answered. Ray. His voice came through, tense and urgent. Thank Christ, you picked up. Listen, we need a ride, now. We're pinned down at One America Plaza. 3 of us made it to the roof, but the whole goddamn city is turning into a war zone. We're low on ammo, and there's no getting out on foot. I clenched my jaw. One America Plaza. Tallest building in the city. Dangerous as hell to land on. I turned to look at my passengers. You sure it's safe up there? I asked. As safe as it gets, but we won't last forever. You're the only one I know who can pull this off, man. Get us the hell out of here. I made my decision. I'm on my way. Be ready. I ended the call and turned to my passengers. You're staying here. That set them off immediately. What? You can't just leave us. This place isn't safe. I held up a hand firm, controlled. Listen, I have 3 trained operators trapped on a rooftop. They need an extraction. I'm going in fast and coming back. This hangar is stocked, locked down, and out of the way. You'll be safer here than anywhere else right now. They hesitated, but the sheer conviction in my voice seemed to break through. What if something happens? One of them asked, voice trembling. You stay quiet. You don't open that door for anyone who isn't me. And if you have to, there's a shotgun in that cabinet. Keep it loaded. After another tense pause, they nodded. I climbed back into the pilot's seat, powered up the systems, and took off. Mission priority, get to Ray and his men before San Diego swallowed them whole. Flying back into the city was like descending into a burning graveyard. The streets were crawling with the infected. Fires raged unchecked. Helicopters, military and news alike, had either crashed or vanished from the skyline. As I approached One America Plaza, I spotted them, 3 figures on the rooftop, waving flashlights. I hit the radio. Ray, I have visual. Get ready. His voice came back, panting. Copy. Just make it fast. We're getting company. I circled once to assess, flat rooftop, open space, no major obstructions. The problem wasn't the LZ itself. The problem was the horde piling into the building below them. I spotted movement, infected swarming through broken windows, flooding stairwells, clawing at barricaded doors. No time to hesitate. I angled the chopper, dropped the skids to rooftop level. Go, go, go. Ray and his team moved like lightning. They rushed forward, keeping their heads low. One of them, Barnes, I recognized him, turned mid-run, firing a few precise rounds at the stairwell door just as it burst open. A woman, or what used to be one, came sprinting out, shrieking, blood smeared down her arms and chin. Barnes dropped her with a clean headshot. Another one lunged through the smoke, a man in a torn police uniform, his jaw hanging by a thread. Ray fired, click. Empty. Get in the damn bird. I yelled. Ray and the others leapt onto the skids, climbing into the cabin. The moment their boots hit the deck, I punched the throttle. The chopper lurched upward just as more infected poured onto the rooftop, arms reaching, mouth snapping. And then they were gone, swallowed by the smoke below. We were clear. I kept the flight low and fast, outpacing the madness behind us. Inside the chopper, Ray and his team caught their breath. You saved our asses, Barnes exhaled, rubbing his forehead. Jesus, I thought we were done. I glanced at Ray. What the hell happened down there? He shook his head. It started as riots, then the calls came in about bites, and people not staying down. We were sent in to assist with crowd control, But within an hour, we were fighting for our lives. How bad is it? I asked. City's gone, man. It's done. Police stations overrun. Hospitals gone. Military tried holding key points, but they were getting overwhelmed last I heard. I grimaced. Eric had been right. There was no controlling this. What's your plan? Ray asked. I sharp. Because you've got one. I know you. I nodded. We regroup. Stock up. Then head for a fallback point north of LA. It's military affiliated. Might be our best shot at stability. Ray exchanged looks with his team. Then we're with you. I didn't argue. They were trained, they were armed, and most importantly, they were alive. That was enough. We touched down at the hangar. The passengers rushed out, relieved to see me back. I climbed out, pulling off my helmet. The world had changed, and we were just getting started. As soon as we landed, I shut the engine down, letting the rotors slow to a halt. The hangar had turned into an impromptu command center, and we had no time to waste. I looked at the group, 7 people, including myself, and one problem became immediately clear. The Bell 407 wasn't big enough. All right, I started unstrapping my helmet. We can't all fit in the bird. If we move in shifts. But first, we need a destination. Ray folded his arms. What about your fallback point? I shook my head. Too far for multiple runs, and we don't know how stable it is. We need something secure, something mobile if things go south. That's when one of the tourists, a guy in his early 50s with expensive sunglasses and a sailing jacket, spoke up. I have a yacht. We all turned to look at him. What? He adjusted his sunglasses. My yacht. It's docked at the yacht club right now. It sleeps 30 and is stocked with food, water, fuel, everything. I was supposed to set sail today. A new plan clicked into place. A yacht was perfect. It was defensible, mobile, and stocked. More importantly, the infected couldn't swim. This is our best shot, I said. If we can get to it, we can use it as a safe zone while we figure out what the hell is going on. Everyone nodded. It was decided. But first, we needed fuel. The refueling mission had to be fast. We couldn't risk an extended stop in the city. I took 2 SWAT operatives, Barnes and Walker, along with the yacht owner. The rest stayed behind at the hangar, prepping supplies. Barnes rode shotgun, while Walker would provide aerial cover when we landed. We lifted off, heading for a fuel depot just outside the city. I flew low and fast, keeping us away from the worst of the chaos below. The depot was mostly intact, but the tension was thick as Barnes and the yacht owner jumped out. Walker kept his rifle trained on the area as I held the bird steady. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Barnes' voice came over comms. Refueling complete. We're good. The yacht owner scrambled back in, and we lifted off, pushing toward the yacht club. The yacht club looked deserted. I kept the helicopter circling as Barnes and the yacht owner disembarked. They moved quickly, making their way to the pier. Walker's voice crackled through the radio. Eyes on movement. 3. No. For hostiles near the parking lot. I banked the helicopter to get a better view. Shadowy figures stumbled between the cars. Move faster, I ordered. On the ground, Barnes and the yacht owner unlocked the vessel, working frantically to get the engine started. Then it happened. Walker's voice spiked with urgency. Shit. Contact, north side. More incoming. Through the scope, I spotted dozens of figures spilling out of an alleyway, moving faster than I expected. The yacht roared to life. Go, I shouted. The yacht owner slammed the throttle forward, and the vessel lurched away from the dock. Barnes barely made the jump onto the deck. The infected reached the pier seconds too late, clawing uselessly at the edge of the water. Yacht is clear. Barnes called out. We're sailing. I didn't wait. I yanked the cyclic back, banking hard away from the club. The fuel gauge was running low, but we made it. As I touched down at the hangar, the others rushed out, relief written all over their faces. Ray grinned. You actually pulled it off. I exhaled, stepping out. It's a start. The yacht was out there now, safe and afloat. And most importantly, we had radio contact. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The refueling station hummed softly as I topped off the Bell 407, my fingers tightening around the pump handle. I had to be ready for whatever came next. The yacht had made it out of the harbor, but they weren't drifting aimlessly. They had a destination. The radio crackled to life. This is Blue Horizon to Echo 2. Come in. I grabbed the handheld. Go ahead, Blue Horizon. We're en route to Santa Rosa Island. Some other survivors are already here, and we're setting up a perimeter and quarantine zone to screen for infection. No one gets on the island unless they're cleared. We should be anchored there by nightfall. That was the best news I'd heard all day. A secure location. Isolated, defensible, away from the chaos on the mainland. I turned to the group at the hangar, Ray, Barnes, Walker, and the remaining survivors. Change of plans, I announced. We're all getting on that yacht and heading for Santa Rosa. Once everyone's safe, I'll fly to Eric Nolan's position and get him out. Ray folded his arms. You sure about that? We don't even know if that fallback point is still standing. He got through to me once. That means he's alive. And he wouldn't have sent me coordinates unless he thought I had a shot. Barnes stepped forward. You're not doing this alone. If we run into trouble, 2 sets of hands are better than 1. I nodded. All right, you're with me. First, we had to get everyone else to the yacht. The Blue Horizon had moved closer to the shore to make our transfer easier. With the last of the supplies loaded, I powered up the helicopter, Ray, Walker, and the civilians climbing in for the final run. Hold tight. I called back as I pulled the cyclic, lifting us into the air. We soared low over the ruined coastline, smoke rising from burning neighborhoods, cars stacked in impossible angles on the freeways. The world as we knew it was over, and we were one of the last few groups still fighting to stay ahead of it. The yacht came into view, its white hull reflecting the late afternoon sun. I circled once, radioing in. Blue Horizon, we're inbound. Ready to receive. Roger that, Echo 2. Bring them in fast. I hovered over the deck as Walker and Ray began tossing bags down, medical kits, rations, extra ammunition. The yacht crew scrambled to secure everything. Then, one by one, the passengers climbed down the rope ladder, each breathlessly hitting the deck. Walker was the last to go. He gripped my arm briefly. Good luck out there. I nodded. You too. Keep these people alive. With a final thumbs up, he dropped onto the yacht. The Blue Horizon pulled away from the coastline, its engines humming as it charted its course towards Santa Rosa Island. For the first time today, I felt like we had a real shot at surviving this. With everyone safely aboard the yacht, Barnes and I were back in the air. I pulled out my phone and quickly typed out a message to Eric Nolan. I'm coming for you. Stay alive. I hit send, knowing full well there was a chance he might never read it. Barnes adjusted his rifle as we flew north toward the fallback point. You ever done a rescue op like this? He asked. I exhaled, scanning the horizon. No, but I've flown into worse. The fuel gauge was good. The mission was clear. Eric was waiting, and we weren't leaving without him. The world was ending, but we weren't done fighting. The phone buzzed in my lap, and I saw Eric Nolan's message flash across the screen. We won't hold for more than 4 hours. Fighting is intense. Choppers are evacuating to Santa Rosa, sending coordinates and radio frequencies. Get here fast. I tightened my grip on the cyclic. For hours. That meant we didn't have 4 hours. I relayed the message to Barnes. Nolan's team is on its last legs. We're going in hot. Barnes nodded, checking his rifle. Let's make it count. I switched the radio to the military frequency Nolan had provided. Breaker, this is Echo 2. We are inbound for exfil. Request landing instructions. A pause. Then, a voice, sharp and authoritative. Echo 2, copy that. Your LZ is near the fuel tanker. Land, refuel, and prepare to lift the last team out. Be fast. You'll be flying under fire. The transmission cut out, leaving nothing but static. I pushed the helicopter harder, faster. The base was pure chaos. As we neared the coordinates, I saw Chinooks and Black Hawks leaving in rapid succession, their rotors kicking up massive dust clouds. On the ground, soldiers rushed for transport, firing at an advancing wave of infected breaking through the outer perimeter. Beyond them, the city was burning. Barnes scanned the area through his scope. Damn, this place is falling apart. I spotted the fuel tanker near the makeshift airstrip, right where Nolan had directed me. Hang on, I called over comms. We're going in. I dropped altitude fast, angled hard, and set the Bell 407 down right next to the tanker. The second the skids hit the ground, Barnes jumped out to attach the fuel line. Then, from the side of the airstrip, I saw them. A group of soldiers sprinting toward us, signaling frantically. Nolan. His team was still holding the last defensive line, buying time for the final transports to get out. They weren't running to us yet. They were fighting. Then, more movement, not soldiers. Infected. A horde. And they were closing in fast. A group of troops rushed up to the helicopter, hauling a thick evac cable. One of them slapped the window. "You're our last shot. Hook this up." Barnes unhooked from the refueling line and grabbed the evac cable, clipping it onto our hardpoints beneath the fuselage. I checked the fuel gauge. 80%. Enough. "Where the hell is Nolan?" I shouted. Barnes pointed. "There." I turned and saw Eric Nolan and his team making a break for US. They were the last ones out. The moment Nolan's team hit the evac cable, they hooked in fast, signaling they were ready. "In the air now." Nolan's voice roared over the radio. I yanked the cyclic, pulling the helicopter into a steep climb. The ground fell away as Barnes and the soldiers fired down from the open cabin, covering Nolan's men as they dangled from the evac line. Below us, the infected swarmed the base. Then I saw them. Bombers. Dropping their payloads. The base was lost. The shockwaves from the detonations rocked the chopper as we pushed away, but I kept us steady. There was no looking back now. We had won this fight, but the war was just beginning. As we neared Santa Rosa Island, the scale of the military presence became clear. Warships, submarines, naval vessels. This wasn't just a safe zone. It was a fortress. I radioed in. Echo 2 inbound with evac personnel. Request landing clearance. Copy, Echo 2. Proceed to landing pad 3. Immediate medical screening required. I eased the helicopter in, setting down on the marked pad. The second we landed, medics and armed personnel surrounded us. Protocol. We all had to be checked. No exceptions. One by one, we stepped out, arms raised. Scanned. Checked for bites. Cleared. Finally, I turned to Eric Nolan. He looked at me, then grinned, exhausted but alive. "You saved me and my boys." He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "I owe you one." I smirked, exhaling. "I'll remember that." For the first time all day, I let my shoulders relax. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. The real fight had just begun.